The only way to really control how and where our UV maps and coordinates are placed on a static mesh is to flatten out the UVs and then carefully craft the placement of them. For this reason, the Unwrap UVW modifier can in many ways be described as the most powerful and versatile part of 3ds Max's UVW mapping toolset, with a similar option existing in all DCC applications that can perform UVW mapping. Before we run through an overview of the options found on the modifier though, we will first of all need to go ahead and apply it to a portion of our chair geometry. In this instance, the arm nearest the camera should do nicely. And so, let's select that, jump into the Modify tab, and then click to select the Unwrap UVW modifier button that we have. Or we can select it from the modifier list in order to apply it if we didn't set those buttons up. As the geometry already has our test material applied to it, we straight away see the test map image pop into place in the viewport. And we also, in the command panel, see the variety of tools that this modifier now makes available to us. First of all, in the selection rollout, we find a number of powerful UV selection tools, some of which mimic options found in Max's polygon modeling toolset, potentially making them very familiar to us if we ourselves are a modeler. We also have the ability in the options here to load, save, and reset UV work that may already have been done, which means we can test multiple UV solutions, store them, and then export multiple mesh files for testing inside Unreal, picking the one that works best for our needs, all of which without having to lose any of the UV mapping work that we may have done. In the projection rollout, we see a number of options that may be somewhat familiar to us, seeing as these add the same basic projection types that can be found on the UVW map modifier. Now these actually have the advantage though of being able to be applied to individual subobject selections, giving us yet more control over basic mapping types if we need it. To do this, let's turn off Ignore Backfacing to make our selection easier. Then, simply select the sub-object area using the Alt key to remove from the selection if needed, and then hit the mapping type that we want to use, for example, planar mapping. We can then either pick the axes that we want to project from, or use this handy Best Align button. If we then click to disengage the planar mapping option, open up the UV editor window in order to view the current UVs, we can see that the polygons we have just applied the planar mapping to have indeed been unwrapped and now just need scaling. When using some of the automatic tools on the Unwrap modifier, we will need to be careful as some can upscale our texture coordinates by quite a bit, placing them outside of the 0 to 1 range that we see here. As Unreal typically uses the 0 to 1 space, when it comes to textures and light maps, we will want to address this issue before exporting the model. Now this can be done via one of the packing commands, which we will look at a little later on, or via a simple UV scale and move operation to bring everything back into the 0 to 1 range. Having run through a quick overview of the Unwrap Modifiers toolset, we can hopefully begin to see the power of this particular tool. Now, the real power though comes into play when we use it to create custom UV seams on our static mesh actors, something that we will take a look at next.